In the age of COVID-19, fresh produce is no longer something you can reliably depend on. There are supply chain interruptions, as well as the concern, do I really want to eat this fresh tomato after a dozen other shoppers squeezed it? Suddenly, your freezer may seem like the preferred option. As a kid, frozen peas and carrots may have been one of the foods you pushed around on your dinner plate. Now as an adult, there's a good chance you actually like peas and carrots. Coming from a Bird's Eye microwave pouch is not your preferred form, but you eat them anyway because you think they're more nutritious than some other foods you could be having, yet you still consider them second place too fresh. But based on science, are the kids' actions more justified than the adults? Or is it the opposite, where the freezer variety is better for you? Are frozen vegetables better than canned? Most of the time, yes. Not all canned food is unhealthy, but oftentimes it is due to these two reasons. Added salt. This issue mainly applies to veggies since salt is usually not added to canned fruit like peaches, pears, pineapple, and oranges. With fruit, they often add corn syrup or another form of sugar, and those versions should be avoided. The American Heart Association recommends eating no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. That does not mean 1,500 milligrams of added sodium, but total sodium, including what is naturally contained in foods. Do we need sodium to survive? Absolutely. But the truth is there are already ample amounts in everything we eat, raw vegetables, grains, and especially prepared meats and cheeses, so the salt shaker is not necessary to get our required sodium. Everything you eat already has sodium. If you have high blood pressure or it runs in your family, reducing intake is ideal. Unfortunately, most canned foods, including plain veggies like canned corn or beans, contain high amounts of added salt. Even if you don't have hypertension, when buying canned vegetables, we believe you should go with the versions that have no salt added. The bad news is that it's nearly impossible to find something as simple as canned corn that has no salt plus organic plus BPA-free can. And that brings us to the second thing to look out for. Most cans still use BPA. You would think by now this stuff would have been phased out, right? But year after year, we see little improvement. A study published last year looked at nearly 200 different canned vegetables, fruits, soups, chili beans, and other foods to determine who was still using them. Guess what? 67% of food cans still use BPA. We're not just talking dollar store brands either. True, they were among the worst offenders. However, this study paints a broad stroke of guilt across the entire industry. 100% of Campbell's soup can products still had BPA in them. 100% of Target brand cans. 88% of Walmart private label cans like Great Value and Sam's Choice. 83% for Dollar Tree's and Family Dollar's own generic brands. 71% of Del Monte cans. 62% for private label and generics overall. In addition to the dollar stores, this included store brands from Kroger, Albertsons, Trader Joe's, Walmart, Target, Meijer, Publix, Gordon Food Service, and Loblaws. 50% of Green Giant, Progresso, and other General Mills brands. Only a couple of cans from each were tested, but they came back positive. Thai Kitchen, which sells canned coconut milk, owned by McCormick, Nestlé Carnation, Goya, Ocean Spray, Valor, Thai Agri, and Empire. Brands of canned food don't use BPA linings. Eden Foods was the first and pioneered the whole movement beginning in 1999. Other major companies on the list who now use BPA-free cans are Amy's Kitchen, Annie's, Conagra Foods, which includes Hunt's, Rotel, Chef Boyardee, Bertolli, Healthy Choice, plus others, and brands owned by Hain Celestial Group, Health Valley, Walnut Acres, Earth's Best Baby Foods, and others. Almost always, they are pre-cooked or blanched to destroy bacteria and parasites. So just like canned, they likely have had some vitamin content destroyed by heat processing. For that reason, the nutritional value from the can and from the freezer will be almost the same, at least according to the selected criteria listed on the nutrition facts label. But as you'll see in a moment, that label only tells you part of the story. Is frozen fruit a raw food? Yes, almost always. Unlike veggies, blanching is extremely rare for berries, melons, and pretty much every other type you can think of. For non-organic, there might be irradiation to kill off bacteria, especially when it's imported from outside the country. Antioxidants in fresh versus frozen. Vitamin C may be the most well-known antioxidant, but it's only one of many. In fact, there are over 6,000 types of plant flavonoids that have been identified so far, and that's only one class of antioxidants. Many are exponentially more potent. For example, astaxanthin is up to 600,000% more potent than vitamin C when tested in vitro. The best way for evaluating the total antioxidant capacity of food is with an ORAC test. ORAC test results for canned aren't as widely available. There's not much incentive to conduct expensive testing for canned products since they are generally purchased for price versus taste or nutrition. That being said, tests have suggested that with some veggies, primarily those containing fat-soluble vitamins and phytonutrients, their antioxidant value is comparable to frozen. Harvested before ripeness. At best, this is what your tomatoes look like when they are harvested. Those bright red organic beefsteak tomatoes sitting there at Whole Foods may look ripe. Given their $4.99 pound price tag, you certainly would expect that. But guess what? They were likely still green when picked. The problem with this is that after they are picked, the nutrients in plants begin deteriorating. Even if their appearance continues to ripen, their nutrients do not. In order to reach peak vitamin content, fruits and veggies need to mature on the plant, not in the back of a truck. Tomatoes, green bell peppers, avocados, and a lot of other products are picked long before being ripe. Are they still healthy for you? Of course. But they have much less vitamin content than they otherwise would. There are a few exceptions to this rule. For example, red rice has higher antioxidant content before it's mature. Likewise for most sprouted foods. Contrast that to frozen or canned peas, which are typically harvested at full ripeness and processed immediately. That's one reason why even after their pasteurization or blanching, the frozen may still be more nutritious for you versus fresh peas. But that's not the only reason. Light, heat, and oxygen. If the orange or apple was still hanging on a tree, these things obviously would not be a problem. Once they're plucked, these all become factors that accelerate the destruction of vitamins and nutrients. Light, this destroys many polyphenols, which is why it's best to store your produce in a dark place. Heat, we all know high heat is bad, but even refrigerated and room temperatures still allow for rapid deterioration. Freezing almost entirely stops that. Oxygen, why does an apple turn brown within 20 minutes of cutting it? Oxidation. That's what's going on with your produce. Fruits with thicker skins like apples do a relatively good job protecting themselves, which is why they have a longer shelf life than, say, berries. Likewise for pumpkins, squash, and gourds. Freezing locks in the nutrients. What causes nutrient loss in vegetables? Respiration. That's the process they use to stay alive after they are removed from their source of life, the stem, plant, or tree. Since the veggie is no longer being supplied nutrients, they begin breaking down carbohydrates to their constituent parts in order to create energy and keep their cells alive. From that process, oxygen is used and carbon dioxide is released. This process of respiration burns through the compounds containing the antioxidant and vitamin nutrients. It's also why the taste and sweetness will change. If you enjoyed this video, kindly press the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe with notifications on, so that you don't miss out on videos like this. Thank you for watching.